Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters.
Hi, guys.
This is Glenn Coleman and my beautiful wife, as always.
Tanya Coleman.
Looking all bright and splendiferous.
Splendiferous. That's a new word.
Yep.
Thank you.
I can do that. I can make words.
You
I am a
can.
creative being. I can make words.
You can. You're very capable.
So, anyway, this is Marriage Matters. This is the show where we talk about marriage
matters.
Because
marriage matters.
Because marriage matters. So we talk about marriage matters because marriage is important.
Yes.
Marriage is important. Marriage is the foundation of society as we know it. I often say that after God created the heavens and the earth, next thing he did was create two people and create a marriage.
Yep. Yep.
So that's God. Marriage is high up on God's priority list.
Yes, it is.
So let's get into it. How was your day, your week, your life, all that stuff? How's it going?
My day, my week, and my life have been really great.
Okay.
Life has been busy, which is, it's
Typical.
good. Typical. Week was, well, you and I started off with a great week. I guess if we rewind to last weekend.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
And we'll talk about that.
We're going to talk about it.
But it was a great way to kind of kick off this week, coming off of that experience. Work went great.
I have a good answer for that question for me.
What?
Who is this player? So, how was my life? My week? What did I say?
You said your day, your life, your
day,
week.
life, week. It's great because I'm married to you.
Ooh, that was good. That was really
Still got it. Anyway, so like Tanya was mentioning last weekend actually, we had the awesome opportunity to go to the Love Hour with Kevin and Melissa Fredericks.
Yes.
In Houston, Texas. So if you guys don't know who Kevin and Melissa Fredericks are, or
who they are.
So you probably know Kev on stage, the comedian. That's
online,
him online. His name is Kev on stage, his handle or whatever. But he and his wife, they have a podcast and it's called the Love Hour Podcast. The Love Hour Podcast. And we are huge fans of the Love Hour podcast. I think we've pretty much seen every episode or listened to every episode. And we just love what they're doing. We've always been a fan of Kev. So they came to Houston. They did the Love Hour live.
Yes,
where Kev and Liz, they talked about their relationship and some things that they've gone through and how they've overcome some things in their marriage. And then after that, the real comedians of the real comedians of social media, which is Doughboy, Tahir, Kev, and Tony Baker.
Yes, good job.
They did a set of comedy, and it was hilarious.
Oh my face was hurting so bad.
It was a great opportunity. Yeah. And again, guys, look. This is what we're all about. Like I said, we don't just come on here and tell you guys this stuff. We practice it. We're all about making our marriage better because when this is working, I mean, everything else comes so much easier when your relationships are intact. So, take the time, invest in your marriage, invest in you and your spouse, and build something great together. And we also got an opportunity to hang out with some really good friends of ours, Jodrick and Shamika Daniels.
Yes. Hey guys, if you're watching.
I always get confused when I say that because Shamika's maiden name was Daniels. No, her mom's. Her mom's
last name is Daniels.
Her mom's last name is Daniels.
Yeah.
And her married name now is Daniels.
Right.
And so every time I say that, I got to think about it. But anyway.
Shamika going to be like, why y'all tell all my business?
My bad, Shamika. But we got to hang out with Jodrick and Shamika, really good, great friends of ours. And so we had a blast.
Yeah.
So if you're not following the Love Hour or you're not listening to the Love Hour podcast, I encourage you to do so. You can go and find them on Apple's or Android,
the Apple podcast whatever your podcast app
or
is.
I like watching it, so that you can go to their YouTube channel. It's at Miss Kev on Stage or Miss Kev on Stage.
Kev on Stage.
Or you can go to Kev on Stage Studios. I think they posted there as well. So just check those out. The Love Hour podcast. Really great information.
You know what I love is that they're so transparent.
Yeah.
They're very transparent.
Vulnerable.
Very vulnerable, even in the setting of on the podcast, yes, because I know it's their people in the room and they're broadcasting to whomever, picks up the podcast. But even in the setting, at the live Love Hour, the transparency and the realness was still there.
Yep.
And you can tell that it's not scripted. They may have, a specific topic, of course, but it's not scripted. So it's coming straight from their hearts and their thoughts, in the moment. So it was a great experience.
Great experience. So next thing we want to talk about is, we mentioned this for the last 2 weeks, but we're doing, and I told Tony, I don't know what we're going to call it, but I guess we're going to just call it the Read Challenge. Because again, you have to do things that are going to build your marriage.
Yeah.
You have to do things that are going to grow your relationship. The reason why people get divorced after 20 years is because they didn't take the time to work and build a relationship.
Right. And so they say we've grown apart. But actually they haven't done the things to grow together, to continue to grow together. That's good, because
I'll say this. If you don't do the things to grow together, you will grow apart.
Yeah.
If you're doing marriage on autopilot, marriage is not meant to be done on autopilot. Right. Marriage has to be on purpose.
That's right, on purpose. Intentional. That has been my word, and I'm sticking with it.
So we're getting intentional. So we got a book challenge. So we're going to be reading this together. And this book, and we're probably saying their names wrong. Let me get a little close. I'll probably put the graphic up.
Yeah.
But it's for men only.
And for women only.
And it's by Shanti and Jeff
Feldhan. We're not sure, and we apologize.
We apologize to the Feldhan font.
We'll have to find something on YouTube that says their name.
Yeah, but anyway, we've heard great things about this book from several. Actually, I think Kev and Liz, they recommended this. Also, there's another podcast, Ashley and David Willis.
Yes.
On the Naked Marriage Podcast. Naked Marriage Podcast.
That probably didn't sound right.
I can't talk. Hey. That's one thing about marriage. You can be naked.
Right, God encourages
both
that.
Spiritually and physically.
Yep.
Amen. Praise God. Bless the Lord. Amen. Anyway, so we're doing this Read Challenge. So what we're doing for the month of August is we're going to be reading this book together, and we're encouraging you guys to join us.
Too.
Okay, and what we want to do is we want you to join this challenge, and in September, we're going to do a Marriage Matters discussion panel, and we're going to do a live discussion on these books. So we really want you guys to get involved. So what we're going to do is, let me pull up my notes here. On August 4th, we're going to start. So what we're going to do, starting August 4th, we're going to do a swap.
Yep.
Swap. So I'm going to read this book, because this book is talking to women about men. This book is talking to men about women. So I'm going to read this book first, and she's going to read that one. And I'm going to go through and highlight things that I see as important to me as a man, or that apply to me as a man. And then I'm going to read through it and make notes, and then we're going to switching back. So August 4th through the 17th, we're going to do the swap.
So you have 2 weeks.
You got 2 weeks to read.
You got 2 weeks to read the other book and make your notes.
And then August 19th through the 30th, we're going to switch back, and then we're going to read our books for men only, for women only. And with our spouse's notes.
Yes.
And we're going to see some dramatic and drastic changes take place in marriages.
Yes, and I think the live is going to be a very great discussion with other couples. So we are encouraging you, we are asking you, we're just really want you guys to participate in this with us. Go through August 4th through the 17th, reading the book that's intended for your spouse, making your notes, your highlights, switch up after that and read your book with their notes and their highlights. And we're going to come back to you with a date and time, location of where we're going to do the live, as well as for those of you who are reading along with us, it would be a great idea to maybe leave some comments on this post or a couple posts that we have coming in the month of August. Inbox us, message us if you want to be a part of that experience.
So please let us know if you want to do the read challenge with us for the month of August. Get in on it, and even if you just want to do it just for you and your spouse,
right? Absolutely.
I think it's just something great for you to do. So
and
we're going to be giving.
We may reach out to some of you personally to say, hey, would you join us in this?
Yeah.
And because we particularly want you to be a part of that discussion panel. Okay.
And so we're going to be giving you updates on that throughout the month of August. So again, that's for men only and for women only by Shanti and Jeff Feldhahn.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Mm-hmm. All right. But it's really easy to find. You can order it on Amazon or at their website. Again, I'll put up a graphic and you can get that information. So let's get into today's topic.
Yes, sir.
Today's topic is you are not your spouse.
No, I am not.
You're not your spouse.
Yep.
And so what I mean by that is your spouse is, and we kind of got into this last week, but your spouse is their own unique, is a unique individual. Mm-hmm. And especially when it comes to how your spouse receives and perceives love.
Correct.
So there's this book, great book, another book, Book Alert. It's not a new book. It's been around for a while.
Yeah, around for a while.
But it's called The 5 Love Languages, and it's by Jerry Chapman. I know how to say his name.
Good job.
Said Jerry. Sorry, it's Gary. I'm just all messed up today.
Oh,
Gary Chapman does 5 love languages. And I always encourage every couple, especially if you're engaged. You know what? And I think they're okay with me saying, but shout out to Rollin Piper and Chalet Shashari. Chalet Shashari.
You have fun saying her name.
I do. But they just got engaged. Last weekend?
Last week he said it made a week. Last night made a week.
Yeah, so they went to Disneyland. I was like, bro, on Disney World.
What a way to do
I was like, you making us step our game up. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, shout out to them. But anyway, I would encourage, even like engaged couples to learn the spouse's love language, because I think a lot of times in relationships, when we try to express ourselves, express love to our spouses, we're trying to love them the way we need to be loved. But what the 5 love languages really does is it helps us to understand how our spouse perceives love. Right? And so you got something to say on that?
I love how you got throw these curves. But completely agree. We have to learn and see, and that's the work part. That's the part that people sometimes struggle to do, is to do the work, to do the research. And figuring out, learning their spouse or their potential spouse and what their love language is. And it makes a complete difference when I am being loved in the way that I perceive love versus the way that you perceive love, and you're trying to love me in the way that you perceive love.
Yeah.
And so when I'm being loved in the way that I can appreciate and really receive, and I know that you're thinking of me when you're doing these acts of kindness, or the whatever it is that you're doing, the gifts. That's one of my love languages, is gifts. And it doesn't have to be something that's expensive, but what's important to me is something that you've actually thought about.
And well, it's not, that's true, but it's not just, it's the gift. Let me give the example.
Okay.
So Tanya's love language, one of her top 2 is gifts. So that's what she receives love. My love language, my top, I think it's physical touch, and number 2 is quality time. So that's how I perceive love. So, but I'm not a big gift person. But when I do receive, I like very practical gifts.
Right.
I like gifts that I can use every day. I like gifts that, like, I don't know. I guess I would just say practical. I remember my sister-in-law, Takesha Jacobs. She gave me these coffee mugs that plug. They had heating elements in them. And you could plug them into your car, and your coffee would stay, or you can do it like at your office or on your desk. And that was like, I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest gift ever. And I mean, those things probably were what, $20, $25 maybe? I don't know. Maybe they were more. Sorry, had something stuck. Sorry
okay?
about that. I'm good.
Okay.
I was eating your popcorn earlier.
Oh.
Anyway.
Time will tell.
But anyway, those are the type of gifts I like. My wife, on the other hand, not very. She'll take the practical gifts, but she likes like jewelry, and
hence my Mother's Day. Part of my Mother's Day gift.
Right. She likes jewelry. She likes clothes. She likes, and like you said, not necessarily like expensive, but I will say lavish. Can I use that word?
I wouldn't say lavish.
Well, I'm saying,
I wouldn't say lavish.
Okay, what should be the word I use?
I like pretty things.
Okay.
And not necessarily, I enjoy the practical things because they're usually things that I do need, but I know that you have really thought about the gift and you've thought about my personality when you have bought something that is not necessarily practical just because I say, I could use that.
And I guess that's the difference. Because here's the story I want to tell you guys. This was some Christmases ago. So Tanya had been talking about this hair dryer she wanted. And, hair is important to Tanya. She's very particular about who she lets do her hair. And she does her own a lot of times. But anyway, she was looking she wanted this hair dryer. And it was this hair dryer. It was like, I don't know what you call it, this bonnet thing that went on your head. And you could like lay down or just... You didn't have to be under a hair dryer to use it. And it was like this bonnet thing and had a hose and went to the little thing. And
it's a bonnet hair dryer, guys. Y'all know what that is.
Okay, anyway. So she had been talking about this. I really want to get this hair dryer, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I bought it for Christmas. And I gave it to her and I was expecting like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Didn't go that way. I mean, she liked it, but I could tell it was like, she really wasn't.
It was a little letdown, if I can be honest. It was just like a hair dryer. Okay.
And that's when I discovered that that's not her love language.
Right. And it's not that I wasn't appreciative, because you could have bought that for me on just like a normal Wednesday.
Right.
And I would have been like, oh, babe, that's so thoughtful. But I'm like, it's like, it's a holiday celebratory time. Our birthdays are there. And we usually, we don't always do something, big. So I was just like, oh, thank you.
Right. And so at first I would admit, I was a little offended, you know what I'm saying? I was a little, but I had to understand that the way she perceives love is through my gift giving. Mm-hmm. And that gift did not scream, I'm madly in love with you.
Right. There you go. Yes.
It didn't say that. It said, I don't know what it said.
It said I was trying to think of something and you said you needed this, so this was easy. Yeah.
So, and when I say gifts, it's not things that she needs. It's things that
I want.
And that just go outside of the realm of what we normally would.
Correct. There you go.
And that it just screams. So I can't say, well, you should be grateful, you know what I'm saying, for at least I got you something. Well, if gifts are her love language, then I have to love her that way.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
So from my side, when I go to buy a gift for you or just about anyone that I'm buying a gift from, I'm thinking of that person's personality. When I'm buying a gift for you, I know, I can buy something musical, equipment, something for, recording, things like that. And so, but those are also things that usually you would get for yourself, right? And so I try to think, okay, I want to get something in that realm of what I know he's going to enjoy and to appreciate, but I want to go over and above what he will do for himself. Because I know that you're not always going to think, like for instance, this past weekend, that was purchased because it was your Father's Day gift. And I know that we follow the podcast. You follow a lot of some other shows of Kevin's, and we enjoy the Love Hour and all of that. And so I was thinking, Glenn would really enjoy this, but he will never say, "Oh, let's go to the show. They're going to be right there in Houston." So for Father's Day,
I would say that.
he would say it, and then back out of it. No, that's okay. We don't have to go. We really don't have time. Oh, we can do something else with that money. So yeah, that, exactly. Yeah. So you would say it, and then you would back out. Yeah. So I said, I know you're aware of some of the dates, but if I don't do it, it's not gonna. Yeah. He's not gonna go, and I wanted you to have that treat and have that experience. So
the whole thing of this is you have to. One of the great things about the love language, the 5 love language, and I would encourage everyone to, even if you don't read the book, there are a lot of apps. One being Love Nudge, and maybe I'll put a graphic up for that. Maybe I don't know, but Love Nudge. It's an app that allows you to just take a test that will tell you what your spouse's love languages are, right? And it will help you, give you some ideas of, if quality time is their love language. It'll tell you, here's some things that you can do, and you can also set it to. It'll give you reminders of, hey, especially like if quality time is your spouse's love language, it'll say, just, a reminder, have you, did X, Y, and Z for your spouse or whatever. But the whole point of this is you have to understand and know that you have to love your spouse the way they need to be loved, not the way you think they need to be loved.
Correct.
And as the recipient, you have to be open and honest and vulnerable with your spouse. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes, and I always say this, we as men, we don't know. A lot of times I know women, they want us to know, but we don't. And so you have to be honest with us and say, I don't, I want this, or this is not really, what, because the worst thing is, for you just to go and just be frustrated and not say anything. And then again, you've been just suppressing all of these emotions and all these feelings, and in 20 years you're like, I want a divorce. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? What, it's just all that pent up. Is that the right word? Pent up regression or whatever. So it's like you really have to know. You have to be open and be willing to meet your spouse where they are.
It goes back to communication.
And
it goes back to vulnerability.
Yeah.
So in me not, the hair dryer, I'll just use that as an example, not being the ideal Christmas gift that I was expecting or desiring, I received it, and you obviously saw disappointment in it, and we had a discussion about it later, why it wasn't the gift that I was looking for. And it wasn't just because it was Christmas. I mean, it could have been for birthday, what have you. I'm just, it was for a special opportunity to give a gift and show love, which we can do that anytime, of course, but I'm just saying, that is one area that one way that we show our love for one another is during that season, because we're, one of the ways we celebrate the birth of Christ, and then we both have birthdays, right there. So, so it's just that you've had 12 months to think about this gift. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then, it almost felt like a last minute thought, like, oh yeah, I could get at this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And trust me, it wasn't, because when I heard you saying it, it was like, okay.
It was like a ding, ding, ding. Like, but see, that's the way I perceived it. So it's just a difference in perception. And I understand that now.
And here's the deal, and this is the saying, but perception is reality.
Yeah.
And I can't change the way she perceives my gift. I can't change that.
Right.
So sometimes I have to change the way I give.
That's good.
So that my gift meets or lines up with her reality.
Right.
And that's what marriage and I hate to even use the word compromise, but that's what it is. It's a compromise. And putting aside me and bending my will to her reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, the other thing I want to talk about is growth and change.
Yeah.
So even in, one thing about us as human beings is that we change, and that we change and we evolve and we get better, and you should. I mean, This woman is not the same woman I married 16 years ago.
I'm sorry. How many years ago?
Ooh, 18 years ago.
Hello.
You know what it was? I saw somebody else just post 16, happy 16 years in the anniversary. I usually remember, though. This is probably the first time I didn't say it
You do.
right.
I forgive you. I'm done.
Oh, Lord Jesus. 18 years.
Yes.
Happy 18 happy years. So 18 years ago, it's not the same woman.
No.
I'm not the same guy, right? So we've evolved. We've gotten better. So with that being said, that's why, it's so important that you communicate and you talk to each other. And because what she thought was valuable 18 years ago is not the same things that she thinks is valuable. Some of the stuff, it may not be the same things that she thinks is valuable today.
And I think one of the biggest differences is that 18 years ago, I didn't say anything. I wouldn't have said anything. I probably would have acted very differently from the way that I really felt. And today, I've learned better. And so I do better. And because I know that you need to know better. And it's not fair for me to have that inward buildup and not communicate to you what's going on.
Yeah.
So marriage matters.
Yeah. So growth and change. So you have to allow that you have to allow your spouse to grow, and you have to grow. You have to allow them to grow, and you have to grow with them. You have to allow them to grow. So you guys are growing together.
Yep.
And the last thing I'll say, and we'll end it with this, but we were talking at one of our worship team rehearsals, and Allie, we were talking to myself and Allie Murray. We had them on the show a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Patrick and Allie Murray, they have a podcast called Married Up.
Yeah, so cute, love it.
And but we were talking, and we were talking about the love languages, and she was just saying that she noticed that one of her kids, whenever she was upset and she was lashing out, that she would do it. So her love language, what she said was words of affirmation. So she would use words to kind of lash out. And she was saying, do you think we try to hurt people, or we lash out in our love language, right? Or is that what I'm saying? Or the opposite?
It's
the
withholding
reverse.
What you perceive as
yes,
love.
Thank you. Withholding with you. That's so good. Withholding what you perceive as love. And I was like, wow, that is pretty insightful, because I started thinking about myself, because again, I said physical touch and quality time are my two love language. And when I get upset with Tanya or whomever, that's what I do. I don't talk, and I kind of stay to myself. I draw back. And I was like, wow, so that's so key or that's so amazing that we withhold how we perceive love whenever we are upset or happy.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I had just having conversations with people as well. There was one person that I chatted with, that basically said that they were taught by a parent how to behave a certain way, based on the way the parent treated them. And learned that the parent also behaved a certain way based on the way that their parent treated them when they were younger. And so it's like almost, we would call that generational curses, but it's learned behavior that we are passing on to one another. But the way that this person shows love is also the way that they are withholding love, or that they're applying punishment. So we have to be very mindful of our actions and our words when we are in relationship with people, and just communicating with people day to day, that I have to make sure that I am doing my best to show you love in the way that is received to you, especially for those who we are in intimate relationships with, spouses and children, and other family members and whatnot. Take the time to discover how they receive love, how they perceive love. Ask questions. Hey, did you really did you enjoy that outing? Did you really like that gift? Would you like to go to this restaurant? Or you really don't care for this? Do you participate in this activity just because it's something that I want to do, and you don't really enjoy it? So if you don't enjoy that, what would you like to do? Do your research, ask questions, create spaces, safe spaces where people can be vulnerable and they can be open with you about who they are, because that's when true intimacy is going to happen, and the way that we will truly learn how to love one another.
So that's all we have for you today. So just remember, you are not your spouse, and the way you perceive love, the things that you like, that does not mean that your spouse is automatically going to do or going to like that or perceive and receive love that way. So find out how your spouse wants to be loved. And a great tool to do that, like we said earlier, is the 5 love languages from Gary Chapman. So in closing, so we just always would like to give you guys ways to reach out to us. As always, you can email us at info@marriagematterstous.com, info@marriagematterstous.com. Also, if you want to send us a text message, you can do that at 337-415-9535, or you can leave a voice message at that number also. Again, that's 337-415-9535. Send us a question, show topics. As always, you will remain anonymous unless otherwise specified. So we want to hear from you. We want to know if there's something that you have a question, something that you want us to talk about, a topic that you want us to talk about. Let us know. And also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Marriage Matters 0526, at Marriage Matters 0526. And please, and thank you for subscribing to the YouTube page.
Thank you, guys.
Marriage Matters YouTube page. And like we always say, when you subscribe, make sure you click the little bell right next to the subscription button so you can get an alert every time we post a video. Anything else?
No, this is a great discussion. I hope people are able to take some nuggets from this discussion, and that they're able to start loving their spouses the way that their spouses need for them to love them. So just remember, this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman saying your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.